I now have applied a body font using a Google font that I imported from Google. And then once I have this, the family is set to Poor Story. This plus sign in URL language means a space. If I am listing the font family here and it has a space, I need to surround it in quotes. So this was from Google Fonts. For my heading 1 inside my header, the Spider-Man text, I'm going to use a different technique, and that is I'm going to go find a font online, download the actual file for it, and then use that from my assets folder. So it's not going to come from a website like Google, it's going to come directly from my same folder where my assets are. So to get that going, I'm going to go to one of many font sites. I like dafont.com personally, but many of them have this feature. Their categories are at the top, and I'm going to choose retro just because I am. It takes me hours, days sometimes to find exactly the right font for a logo. It's worth the wait though. And then I'm going to type in, so the reason I like dafont is because I can type into the preview, Spider-Man, and hit enter, and then it renders it in the different fonts so I can see exactly how it would look. So this really cuts down my time a lot. I browsed through these before I made this video, so I have an idea of what I wanted, so it wouldn't take me too long for the video, and I'm going to choose Vintage Warehouse. It's really important for you to make sure you understand what the license is. When we download this font, there's not going to be any license information in a file with it, like some of the other fonts. So if I wanted to use this for anything besides my own personal use, I would make sure to visit the author's website to see how I might purchase a license to make this legal. Today, I don't need to do anything special because I'm not going to use it for commercial use, just for my own use today and for educational use. So I'm going to click download. And then I'm in my assets folder already, so I'll drop the zip file right in there. It downloads, and then I'll switch to my folder view so we can see it. Here it is. Let me unpack it. Double click to extract. On Mac, on Windows, you can double click it and then click the extract button on the upper left. This gives me a TTF file. This is a TrueType font. There are many other different kinds of fonts. I was hoping for a WOFF font, but that is not available for this font, so this is what I have. I'm not going to need the zip file anymore, so I'm going to delete it. Also, I don't love having the space in the file name. I feel like that's going to cause me issues down the line, and so I am going to just remove that space and hit enter. There's a comment somewhere in something I read saying if you're on Windows, don't use uppercase for your file names because it can be a problem. So I'm going to change it to lowercase, starting with an uppercase is what it said. If I were really worried about it, then I could use the lowercase w here too. I'll just pretend I'm worried about it right now. Okay, so this is just because I read something that says Windows doesn't like, sometimes we'll have trouble if you have an uppercase beginning of font name. I don't really know if that's actually true, so your mileage may vary. Now, I have my font file saved. It's time to load that into my page. So my page currently looks like this. This is my Google font being applied to the H1 as well as everything in the body. Let's head to the CSS where I need to create a font face rule. So this is an @ sign followed by a font face, and there's a number of properties that go inside this rule. The most important ones for us today are font-family, so we can say what we're going to name it. I'm going to say spider testing, and let me make this in quotes since I have a space in it. If I did not have a space in here, I would not need any quotes around it. Same, and then for the SRC, I'm going to put a URL because it's coming from my same folder structure here, assets. I wish brackets would hint for me here, but it's not, so I'm just going to remind myself what I called it, vintagewarehouse.ttf. There's that. Now this means that once I have finished this section, I can now use this as spider testing font family from now on, and it will understand what I mean. So if I want to style this, the H1 inside the header, I can write a rule for that. Header H1. And I can say font family. And now I can use the font family that I wrote. Spider testing is not anything special. but I do need to put quotes around it because it has a space. And then as usual, it's good practice to define a backup font such as sans serif for a default font at least. So just in case something really went wrong, you have a backup listed. Okay, I've saved and now I'm going to refresh in the browser. And what is going on here? So I picked this font because it showed me something new. So I can see if I highlight, the text is still there, but it's not rendering in this font. So the first thing I'm thinking to myself is, it's rendering the capital letters successfully. What if this font only includes capital letters? I could pull it into a font viewer on my Macintosh computer, but I'm just going to guess at this moment that this is only going to render capitals, which means that I have some lowercase letters in my header and none of these are showing. Text transform to the rescue. Nice review of that property that we learned some weeks back. So let's just make it all uppercase. Save, refresh, and here it is. So this is a web font. So just to review the web font, number one, you will download your font file and put it somewhere in your assets folder is a good place. If you have a lot of fonts, you might even make a separate folder in here in your assets folder just for fonts. So that could be a good thing to do. Once you have the files downloaded, you will include an @fontface rule, name it something, point it towards the file that you have put in your assets folder. And then number three is whenever you want to use it, anywhere you want to use it, you'll just call the font family whatever you named it. Just that easy. So this way, your users do not have to have this font downloaded. And if I were using this for commercial purposes, I could buy this font and put it in my assets folder, upload it to the server, and then everybody could see my fancy font.